Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. Apologies, we're a little bit later than usual, but it's all for a good reason. We've been filming off the bar. That'll be up later on today. But make sure, first of all, you're getting involved in all the comments and the chat and hitting that like button. And if you're not doing it already, subscribe to the channel. Loads of stories to go through. Some of it's focusing on Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in. Obviously, we've had loads of stories recently. Richard Arnold's out. Looks like Jay Motty could be next. We've got a little bit of an update on just what that would mean in terms of this sort of purchase, this investment, whatever you want to call it, how that looks in terms of the Glazers as well. No one really wants to see them making money, but unfortunately they are going to. Also, Anthony Martial, could he be involved in a swap deal with Paris Saint-Germain? We'll be getting into that, plus a little bit of a Casemiro update, plus a Marcus Rashford update. So make sure you are getting involved with all that good stuff. Well, say good stuff, some of it you might not like, but you can still get involved in the comments in the chat and give us your opinion. And let's smash a like, as the kids say. Come on, people. Let's get to 200 likes. Loads of people in the chat already. Music Ali says, swap for who? Mbappe, Verratti. We'll get into that shortly. Planets, oh yeah, F Squad, says, why would PSG want Martial? Lol. Well, I'll explain that shortly. Santa Notch says, zero budget January coming up. We do love a zero budget January, don't we, at this club? We always love a free transfer in January, where that's, you know, getting someone like Odion Igalo in or Vote Weghorst. We love a bit of a free bit in January under the Glazer ownership. Sing Sang Sung says, Jay the best. Andy G says, morning Jay from a great Galway City. Fungi to me says, morning Jay. Sleepy Sloth says, morning Uncle Jay. Mickey Tracy says, morning Jay, my man, announce the Rattler. Ray Nico says, smash a like. David O'Hanlon says, morning Jay, hoping for a good January to push on for our end of year targets. Court Star says, Uncle Motty with a fist emoji. Right, let's talk about what the Glazers are going to do with this investment. Well, they're going to pocket a load of money. There's a tweet there from James Ducker from The Telegraph. He's a friend of the channel. He's been on before. He says, Glazers stand to pocket $650 million from Ratcliffe's Manchester United deal. Jean-Claude Blanc, even, among options to replace departing Arnold as CEO. Paul Mitchell and Dougie Freedman among sporting director options. Sir Jim Ratcliffe could not run ops for 6 to 8 weeks until Premier League ratified a deal. So it can be announced, and we're expecting an announcement within the next week or so. So Jim Ratcliffe comes in, he's going to take over the football and control of things, but he's not going to be able to run the operation until the next 6 to 8 weeks because, obviously, the Premier League have got to ratify it. So we're still going to be waiting, aren't we? Which is a little bit annoying because we want to see this deal done. We want to see him come in. I personally want to see football people being put in charge of football decisions, which looks like is what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see just how long that takes because the Premier League have got to ratify it. Just on the other points here as well, Jean-Claude Blanc got a decent CV, coming in to replace Richard Arnold. I think at the moment it's Patrick Stewart, so you can insert your own Star Trek jokes there. He's the interim CEO, but then we're going to get Jean-Claude Blanc, who I think he's been in charge. It was at Juve and PSG and the Olympics or something. He's got a pretty impressive CV, I think. So makes sense that he's going to come in. He's someone I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe knows. I'm not going to mourn the departure of Richard Arnold. I don't particularly care about him going. I think it's probably a good move, if I'm being honest, because I think he's synonymous with everything that's sort of been going on the last couple of years, which hasn't been great as well under the Glazer ownership. I know they've been here a lot longer than last 2 years, but he's been here during the entire time I think the Glazers have been here. We saw what happened, Mason Greenwood debacle, didn't cover himself in glory there. Just on the other points about Paul Mitchell and Dougie Freedman. Now, Paul Mitchell has been linked with the job of footballing or sporting director at Manchester United for a few years, and he's got a very impressive CV. I'm sorry to keep going on about CVs, but it's a good sort of, you know, indicator of what they're about and what they've done, obviously. Now, he had success at MK Dons, at Southampton, at Spurs, I think RB Leipzig, I want to say as well. And you can see him sort of his career progression, being responsible for some impressive signings. You look at Heung-min Son at Spurs is a big example. Also, when Southampton had that real sort of purple patch under Pochettino, they brought in some good players. I think he was behind a lot of that as well, and he's done well more recently at the likes of RB Leipzig. So you get the Paul Mitchell one. I think he's had some very good press and PR over the last sort of year or so, or last 6 months certainly, since he's been linked with this role. Dougie Freeman's a little bit of a different one, because initially people sort of dismiss this and go, Dougie Freeman, what? At United? Do me a favour. What's he got on his CV? And I think that's a little bit harsh, because whilst he's not as sexy a name as Paul Mitchell, because Paul Mitchell's, done all these things at all these different clubs and everyone's like, oh, he's amazing, he's great. People look at Dougie Freeman and go, Crystal Palace. But Crystal Palace have actually been a very well-run club and have done very well in the transfer market if you look at what they've done. They got the loan signing, I think, these are things that Dougie Freeman was involved in. The loan signing of Conor Gallagher from Chelsea, which was a good signing. Permanent deals from Mark Guéhi and Michael Elise, good signings. Palace are a decent club and they are pretty strong in the Premier League. They're pretty stable. They're not setting the world alight. They're not challenging for any of the top 4 places, but you wouldn't expect them to. Crystal Palace are a bit of a yo-yo team. They've been up and down quite a lot, and over the last few years, they've been pretty stable. They've been a Premier League team that's not had it all their own way. Obviously, they didn't sack Patrick Vieira because everything was going really well, but they have done quite reasonably well under the stewardship, shall we say, of Dougie Freeman as sporting director. So I don't think it's fair to just dismiss him. I get Manchester United are a much bigger club than Crystal Palace. Just because you've had success at Crystal Palace doesn't mean you can have success at Manchester United. Wilfried Zaha will tell you that one. But I don't think we should be too dismissive of Dougie Freeman. That's just my opinion. Get involved in the comments in the chat and let me know what you think. Are you a fan of Dougie Freeman? Are you a fan of Paul Mitchell? Do you think Jean-Claude Blanc's going to make a big change, make a big difference? Are you annoyed at the fact the Glazers are going to take 650 million quid out of this deal? It's just more of a cash cow for the Glazer family, Manchester United. Every year they keep making loads and loads of money and they never put any money in. They saddled us with all this debt. They've absolutely wrecked the club from top to bottom. The infrastructure is awful. We're hoping that Sir Jim Ratcliffe can sort it out, but it is annoying. Let us know what you think in the comments. Tim Sykes says, but can Paul Mitchell find us a right winger? Laughing emoji. We've had some right dramas there. Brian Casey says, morning Jay, happy Thursday. With Arnold leaving, isn't it great to finally have some good United news until we learn that the Leeches pocket all that money? Angry face emoji, I agree. Mushfiq Zaman says, good afternoon from Bangladesh, Jay. Loads of love. Thank you, Mushfiq. Thanks for getting involved in the comments as well. Make sure you are hitting that like button, please, people. Come on, let's get to 200 likes. Jonas Loic says, Glazer out, Eric Ten Hag out, Onana out. He's not happy at all. He wants them all gone. I don't know about that one. Matt Wick says, Jay on deck in the morning. Good to see all you people in there as well. Court Star says, all better than Murtagh. Clarky D says, I work at Palace, so watch them a lot. Dougie has made some good, cheap signings. I think he's done a good job. Can he make the step up from Palace to Manchester United? That is the question. It's different when you're signing the likes of Mark Guéhi, who I think is a quality player, by the way, and Michael Elise and Conor Gallagher on loan. When you come to Manchester United, you've got to sort of take it up a notch. But people progress. People progress in life. They progress in jobs. He might be ready to make that step up. I don't know. But at least he's someone who's got a little bit of a CV where you can go, okay, he's had success in that role elsewhere, rather than he's coming in and he's going to try it for the first time. He's never done this job before, but let's give him a go, which is kind of the Manchester United MO under the Glazer family. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, late for England camp. There's nothing sinister about it. He had personal matter. He's back in with England squad now. I've seen him getting a little bit of grief, Marcus, because I think he didn't go to Sir Bobby Charlton's funeral. I think some people are pointing out that. I'm sure there was a reason for that. I'm pretty sure he won't have just said, I'm not going, I can't be bothered. And I think the same was with Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag had an unbreakable commitment, I believe. A few people digging him out on social media. I think that Eric Ten Hag would definitely have gone to that funeral had he been able to. I think there must have been a real reason, and not just, I'm in at the hairdressers. Obviously not Eric Ten Hag's not at the hairdressers, but nothing frivolous. I think you need to give him the benefit of the doubt, even if you've got any doubt there, because it seems a little bit unlikely that he'd miss the funeral of probably one of the most important people in Manchester United's history. But Rashford's back with the England squad now. I'm hoping that Rashford can use his time with England to get his confidence back up. He looks like he's struggling a lot, Marcus Rashford. It looks like he's got the world of the weight on his shoulders. He scored a good goal for England last time he played for him, didn't he? And I think if he can get some positivity from the England friendlies, or the England, is it qualifiers or friendly? I can't forget, I don't care. From England games, should we say? Does it say it there? I don't know. From the England games, then maybe that can give him a bit of an improvement. Seamus Nolan, welcome to the first team. He's just become a member. There's extra content on the members section. Me and Joe always do our fantasy football show on there, plus there's some other few bits. And if you're a member, you can join our fantasy football league and get involved and show me and Joe how it's done. Should we talk about Casemiro? Forgive me, just drinking that. Casemiro's Man United decision. This is a bit of a non-story, but I'll go through it anyway because it's in the papers and we want to give everyone an update. It says Casemiro is not, in capital letters, interested in leaving Manchester United in January, despite interest from Saudi Pro League giants Al Nassr. The Brazil international 31 joined United from Real Madrid in August 2022. We know all that. It's believed Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's on the verge of buying a 25% stake in United and taking charge of football operations, disapproved of the club's decision to spend 70 million on Casemiro. 15 months ago, he's happy to let the player move on. There's said to be concrete interest in Casemiro from the Saudi Pro League. Now, I like the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is taking interest and he's got his eye on the ball when it comes to certain transfers and whatnot. You just don't want it to be him to be too hands-on. You don't want him to be going, right, okay, here's a player you've got to get rid of to the manager, even if the manager doesn't agree. There has to be a sort of working relationship there where the manager has final say on certain decisions, but obviously the likes of Ratcliffe and I think Dave Brailsford can have a say, and I think even unfortunately it's going to be Joel Glazer in the triumvirate of the three of them making decisions. Then you're going to have obviously a sporting director and other people involved as well, Jean-Claude Blanc, whatever. But we want an owner or a part owner, whatever you want to call him, who understands what's needed at Manchester United. You just don't want it to be OTT, where he's saying to the manager, get rid of this player, buy this player, and pick that player, because that's just untenable. There was rumours, the reports the other day, that he's going to get more hands-on with the Jadon Sancho situation and maybe make Erik ten Hag resolve that. I don't think that's a good look, personally. I think moving Jadon Sancho on, if you don't think he's going to salvage United career, is fine. I don't think you can tell the manager he's got to make up Jadon Sancho. I think that's got to come from the player. If the manager's set out his stall in terms of discipline, in terms of what he's doing at the club, in terms of how he's treating players, you can't undermine that. You can't make him go back on that. I think if you do that, his position becomes untenable. Let me know what you think about the Casemiro news, that he's not going. It's weird with Casemiro. This time last year, probably, towards January, February, on the Carabao Cup final, everyone loved him. Everyone, myself included, was raving about him. What an absolute class defensive midfielder he is, just what we've been missing. Oh my God, you can see why he's won 5 Champions Leagues. I can't believe we've got him. I remember thinking these things. He's amazing, he's so good. He's one of the best in the world. And then things started going a little bit wrong for him. Some of the performances weren't great. He missed a few games because of suspension. This season, I think the Brentford game in particular was as bad as I've seen him play for Manchester United. People starting to question it. He's 31. Are we seeing the decline of a once great player, or is he just in a bit of a blip? It's happened before. Players, you think they're done. Everyone thought Zlatan was done at 36, and then he went on to win Serie A in like 2 years later or whatever it was. So you're not always done at 31. It might just be a bit of poor form. It might be something else. He might not be 100% fit, whatever. But it feels like a lot of fans I've spoke to are like, do you know what? If we could get good money for Casemiro, it might not be the end of the world. Let me know what you think. Do you think we should keep him? Do you want to see him moved on? He's not going anywhere in January. Next summer might be different. I feel like Casemiro and even maybe Rafael Varane might end up going in the summer, which, especially with Casemiro, we just bought him. It seems insane, doesn't it? But let us know what you think. Faraz Khan says, Jay, why do you think Casemiro and Amrabat ain't played much together? I'm not sure. I think Casemiro's obviously been injured for the last few games. I know he's, for the Brentford game, he just didn't put in a performance at all. I think he got took off. Did he get taken off for Amrabat? I can't remember what the situation was there. I can't remember the substitution. But yeah, we haven't seen much of him. It looked like that could work, that maybe is a double pivot. But I feel like it's one of the other. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the comments. AD says, Casemiro isn't the issue. He needs to improve. Oh, well, okay. How does that work? If Casemiro's not the issue, he needs to improve, then is that not making him the issue? Get involved, AD. Let me know what you're trying to explain that one. Sorry. SG says, I'm 31 and I'm definitely done. No, you're not. You're a young man. Life begins at 50. Wayne Davies says, why is it that so many players are out of form at the same time? That's the real question. That's the real quiz. That's a very good question. It is. Because Rashford's form has fallen off a cliff. Bruno's very erratic with his form. Casemiro's form has completely deserted him. Varane hasn't been great. I know he's been out of the team quite a lot. Something's going down there. It just feels like a lot of our players who were great last season ain't this season. Yes, we've lost Martinez. Yes, we've lost Luke Shaw, 2 big players for us. But we've also got players that were absolutely flying last season who aren't. Maybe it's losing some of the players I've mentioned that's affecting the others. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe there's just been a bit of a bad atmosphere at the club recently. Results have gone against us. Bit of pressure on the manager. The great unknown in terms of what's going on upstairs. Are we getting a new CEO? Are we getting a new sporting director? Are we getting a new director of football or whatever? Technical director, what is going on? People looking over the shoulders when it comes to jobs. I think Gary Neville mentioned that, how that can't be conducive to a great working environment. Maybe it's all those things that are just sort of undermining the feeling at the club a little bit at the minute, or the confidence that people have got. Glenn F17 says it's a strange old game. AD said, sorry, my chat cut off. He isn't the main issue of that club, sorry. And although he does need to improve, we lose more with him leaving. Fair enough. Good comment. Matt Wick says, Varane out, Todibo in would be smart business. Writings on the wall for Rafa for a while because of his availability. This last window, getting Kim Min Jae would have been ideal, but hey-ho, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, that one. So we talk about Anthony Martial. This is in the Express from Sam Smith, who's taken time off from singing songs to write some football articles. A bit of a career move. Man United presented with surprise swap deal opportunity as PSG ready January move. It goes on to say that Anthony Martial is basically wanted by PSG. That could lead to a swap deal where if we go down to the bottom in January, there's I think it's the defender whose name escapes me, but if we keep going there, we'll go. There you go. PSG defender Nordi Mukiele, who hasn't been getting a lot of minutes. So it says United could use discussions with PSG Chiefs to strike a player exchange agreement for Nordi Mukiele. United were widely linked with the 26-year-old in the summer transfer window, but failed to complete a transfer. The failure to offload Maguire or Varane meant that a defensive overhaul had to be postponed. Goes on to say PSG signed Mukiele from Red Bull Leipzig in the summer of 2022, but the France international struggled for game time. He started just twice in League 1 this season, appearing for a total of 205 top-flight minutes. I question a little bit of how heavily we were linked with him, because I was covering a lot of transfer stories, and I don't recall covering any involving him at Manchester United, unless I'm misremembering or I was off that day or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure. It feels a little bit like people putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 10. Let me know what you think. Do you know much about this kid? Do you think he could come in? Do you think it'd be a good swap deal? If we are to do a swap deal, personally, for Anthony Martial, I'd like us to bring a striker in. I don't think Martial's got much of a future at Manchester United, but he is a striker. And I don't think we need to be losing a striker and replacing him with a defender, even though we could do with defensive reinforcements. We have to have a striker come in. Now, maybe you do this swap deal and then you buy a striker as well. That makes sense. But we have to have a striker come in. In fact, I think we need more than one striker if we're going to lose Anthony Martial. We're so threadbare up front. I love Rasmus Højlund. I think he's absolute class. And I think he's going to be a very, very good player for Manchester United. I really do. But he needs help. He needs support. He needs a bit of rotation. He has struggled in the Premier League for goals, obviously. And it doesn't help when, at times when he's maybe not 100% fit, or when he's just getting away from him a little bit, or he's struggling, he has to stay on, or there isn't another option. That isn't going to encourage him or make it easier for him to score goals in the Premier League. He will score goals in the Premier League because he keeps banging him in Europe. You can bang him in the Champions League, you can bang him in the Premier League. It's not like there's a massive gulf between the standard in the Premier League and the standard in the Champions League. If you can score against Bayern Munich, you can score in the Premier League. Honestly, let's have it right. Bayern Munich are a much better team than some of the Premier League teams. So he can obviously score goals. He's young. He's only going to get better. You can see he's adapting to the Premier League very well. He is playing well. That's the ironic thing with Rasmus Højlund. He's playing very well. He's just not getting the goals or assists in the Premier League. And I feel for him. I do. And I hope it just doesn't become a thing. He's kind of getting a thing. I hope it doesn't become a thing in his head where he starts to bother him and he starts to snatch at chances because he's like, I've not scored yet. He doesn't need to do that. Just keeps doing what he's doing. The goals will come, and I think we could be sat here in a few years' time looking back at Rasmus Højlund as one of our better signings. Samuel Picken in the super chat says Mbappe and 50 million and they can have Martial. Great shout. I doubt that's going to happen. Santa Notch says if we lose Martial, we have to get a striker. We'll only have one. Couldn't agree more with that. A.I. Williams says we should go balls out for Pedro Neto. We need more creativity, and the lad is the real deal. Glenn F17 says I hope this Martial stuff is true. Let him go and get paid for being injured in Paris. A striker would be a good idea, though. Ute Hube says, how has he not gone to Real Madrid by now? I don't know about that one, kid. I don't know if that's ironic. But Phil Berry says, Rasmus will bang them in when Shaw comes back. He's the only player who can put a cross in. Yeah, it'd be good to see Luke Shaw back in the team. I think Marcus Rashford can benefit as well from having Luke Shaw back in the team. I think he's missed him. That combination last season was very, very productive. They seem to work well together. They've been playing together now for a few years. Marcus on the left with Luke Shaw behind him produces goals and assists and gets the best out of both of them. He's missed him. We've had a merry-go-round at left back where we've had Diogo Dalot, we've had Victor Lindelof, we've had Sofian Amrabat. Hasn't really worked out, has it? Now, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments and the chat. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. And don't forget as well, right, on the 28th of December, we're going to have a live show in Dublin. And our special guest is being announced very soon. If it's not been done already, trust me, it's a bona fide Manchester United legend, yeah? I'll give you a little clue. He's hard. You could argue he's the hardest man in the town. Yeah, in all the town. You might know who I'm on about. So go and check that out. If you can get over to Dublin on the 28th, it'll be great to see you over there. Me, Steve, Joe and Macca and a special guest. Make sure before that, though, you're hitting that like, share and subscribe button. I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk, live from the studio. Thanks for watching.